light cones, is it still a scam banner? Or should people always prioritize new characters over the light cone? Because I know some people are looking forward to getting light cones, and some people are like, no, I can never summon on light cone banners, because if I do, I'm gonna get scammed. I would rather want a new character than I would get a light cone that's gonna benefit like my favorite DPS.
Hey guys, MrPokke here, back with another video. Now you guys may have noticed this format from some of my previous videos, such as the MOC drama debate, whether Imbibulune is power creeping Honkai starrail, etc, etc. I'm pretty much gonna be naming this series as Pokke Talks or Pokke Chat. I'm not sure, I'll decide on it later, right? This is basically going to be a series where I'm just going to be talking to you guys through how I feel with regards to certain aspects of the game, be it Honkai starrail or pretty much any of the future games that I managed to get my hands into, right? And as you can see from the title of this video, the topic we're going to be discussing today is, should you pull for light coins in Honkai starrail? There's a lot of factors to consider, whether you're a whale, which you probably won't be watching this video because it's just gonna pull everything, whether you're free to play, whether you're a low spender, what exactly is your objective in Honkai starrail. All these things come into play, and I'm just gonna be discussing my personal opinions regarding this matter. Without further ado, let's just jump into today's content. Today's sponsor is none other than our very first sponsor on MrPokke's channel, Anime Dakimakura Shop. Oh my god, guys. Oh my god, guys. So this is the Mona action figurine. If you guys want to get yourself this very nice Mona action figurine, as well as a lot of other items, right? Thank you so much, Anime Dakimakura Shop, for sponsoring this figurine. Honestly, really high quality. Use code Pokke for Anime Dakimakura Shop to get 10% off your total purchase, right? Massive Tingyun body pillow, which is around 170 centimeters. I have no idea what that is in American units. All right, just a close-up look for you guys, right? Just a close-up look. If you guys would like to liven up your room without being too naughty, head on over to Anime Dakimakura Shop and get your very nice wide selection of anime goodies today, right? Huge thank you for sponsoring this very nice Mona figurine. And as of the time of this recording, Anime Dakimakura Shop is also having their limited New Year sale, saving up to $24 for every order from the 4th of January to the 17th of January in 2024. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and get yourself your waifus today. Should you pull for a light cone in Honkai starrail? Now, I'm not gonna lie, back when I first started making content for Honkai starrail, I was in a camp where I firmly believed that no free-to-plays nor low spenders should ever consider pulling for a signature light cone, because if players, especially low spenders and free-to-play, were to lose the 75-25 to a signature light cone banner, it would not be a good feeling. At least if you were to lose it to units on the unit banner, players can still make use of the lost units for the most part, right? Except for Yanqing, but pretty much every single 5-star units in the category is more or less usable. But that is not the case for standard banner light cones, because let's be real, the only really good light cone on a standard banner is pretty much just Bronya and Japard's signature light cone. The rest of the light cones is really just subpar, and generally these light cones, most players just would not be able to make use of them, right? But now, after playing Honkai starrail for ever since start of the game day 1, so it's been pretty much close to 9 months by now, and to sum everything up, I believe in these two things. You should not pull for a support or a sustained signature light cone. But if players are struggling to clear the endgame content, or if you guys just want to make your DPS units, the keyword being DPS units, a little bit more future-proof, then players should consider pulling for a DPS signature light cone. right? So don't pull for support and sustain, pull for DPS icons that you like. And here's the reasons why I say this. So for support and sustains, right? So basically it's the class of abundance, preservation, harmony, and some nihility units. For the most part, these units have very good substitutes in the 4-star category. In the preservation, you have Day 1 of My Life. In the abundance, you have perfect timing, you have quid pro quo. In the harmony, you have Dance, you have Coggers, you have Memories of the Past, Planetary Rendezvous, and in nihility, you have Resolution Icon, or for DPS units, you have Good Night and Sleep Well. That's why for these classes of units, there's a lot of options, especially for free to play or low spender, to actually pretty much not feel significant difference without running a signature icon or a 5-star icon for the most part. And that's why I believe that when it comes to absolute stellar Jade efficiency, I don't believe that there is ever a need to actually pull for these icons, because let's be real, you can definitely clear the endgame content without any of these icons. It's kind of like, would you upgrade your graphics card after you literally just got one last year? I mean, yeah, the 4080 series looks nice, but if your 3080 is still functioning, are you really going to spend like close to $1,000+ on it? That's going to be subjective. For me personally, I'm not going to be willing to do that, right? So that is for the support and sustain category. Now for the DPS category, and why I say free to play, even free to play and low spenders should consider pulling for these icons, is really just because DPS signature icons tend to be a lot more impactful when it comes to the actual performance. Because I know we always say there's always gonna be 4-star substitutes, right? Like if you don't want to run Silas Lycon, you have Herta Shop Lycon, you have Short Play. If you don't want to run Jingyuan's Before Dawn, you have Seriousness of Breakfast, you have Genius Repose. If you don't want to run like Jingliu, Imbued Lune, you have 4. So there might be a lot of substitutes for a DPS Lycon, but the playing experience is a lot more different as compared to a support or sustain not having like a 5-star icon. And in fact, in most of the situations, we intentionally want to run 4-star icons on the support and sustain. Excellent example that I can think of right now is essentially Jingliu and Imbibitor Rune. These two units, their signature icon gives them such a massive improvement in terms of playing experience. And I'm not just talking about absolute damage numbers, right? For Imbibitor Rune's signature icon, it makes your rotations feel a lot smoother as compared to if you were to use 4 of the Aeon. And this is inclusive of when you get to hit and because of energy variation, right? And not to mention the critical rate just makes a crit a lot more consistent. So in the absolute playing experience, players that actually run signature icon in Builder Rune will find just generally a much better time clearing content as compared to using S5 4 of the Aeon. Not to say 4 of the Aeon is just really bad. It is a pretty considerable difference as compared to the support and sustain. And another example, Jingliu, right? If you were to not run Jingliu's Lycon, you are not only missing out crit damage, which is very valuable for her, the defense shred aspect itself, it is really good, especially when it comes to the damage output. In terms of the DPS calculation, you look at the theorycrafters, you look at the seam sheets, they don't really take into this kind of things into consideration. It is really just in the vacuum, they take the units, compare the different icons and see their final damage output. So players might not really see exactly how much more different each of these icons perform, right? But for Jingliu, for example, if you were to run her with Pella, which most of the time you should, or if you're going to be running her with the 4-piece Genius set, which I think is her best in slot 4-piece, or if players actually manage to get themselves an E1 run Mei, the defense shred stacking capabilities just goes up a lot higher, and the additional defense shred that you get from Jingliu's Lycon just brings the damage output up a lot more as compared to 4 of the Aeon. Not to mention, Jingliu has a ton of attack percentage buff by herself, so 4 of the Aeon really doesn't benefit her that much. And so these are some of the 2 reasons I can think of at the top of my head that DPS units can really benefit a lot from these Lycons. With that established, some DPS units don't really need their signature icons. And another 2 examples I can think of at the top of my head is going to be Zilla as well as Kafka, for 2 main reasons, right? For Zilla, her kit, she functions really well with Herta Shop's Lycon, right? The Herta cruising the Stellar C S5, most of the time you are going to be using Zilla to go ahead and kill the mobs with resurgence and that kind of stuff. So you do get the additional 40% attack buff, and probably you're not going to be able to one-shot a boss from all the way 100% health. So chances are you would also benefit from cruising the Stellar's additional 16% crit rate, which just makes your crits feel a little bit more consistent. So Zilla, even if players do not have her signature icon, the damage really doesn't fall off that much once you consider after you kill the mobs, after you hit the boss at low HP, all that kind of stuff. And another example being Kafka. This is not so much that Litecoin is really bad, but it's just because that Good Night and Sleep Well is just such an excellent Litecoin. It is a free 72% damage buff once you're at S5, right? Which is ridiculously strong. So for example, if you were to compare the damage difference, a Weld actually does even more damage on S5 Good Night and Sleep Well than his own signature Litecoin at S1. So that kind of speaks how strong Good Night and Sleep Well is. So that's why these are some of the units that you can think of that actually are fine without a signature icon. But these two units are really like the outliers. For almost every single other DPS unit, you would prefer them with a signature icon. Jingyuan, Argenti, Blade, Jingliu, Imperial Lune, Topaz, right? Pretty much almost every single one of our limited DPS units, they perform really well with the signature icon. Not to say that they are really unusable, but they really just feel a lot better when you have the signature icon. And at this point, I do want to point out, I'm not urging players to say you must put a signature icon, you must put a signature icon. Maybe I would like to just offer another way to look at things, especially for the free-to-plays and low spenders. Maybe you guys don't want to pull for a signature icon, or you guys want to save up the Stellar Jades to maybe pull for more units because this unit is completely fine by itself. But in the grand scheme of things, here's my opinion anyways, right? In the grand scheme of things, if I was a free-to-play or low spender, I would much rather the unit that I pull retain their value for a longer period of time because they have their signature Litecoin with them, as compared to if I were to use one easier copy of a unit without a signature Litecoin. Chances are the performance is really not going to match up when newer and newer units come out, especially when their kit as well as the signature icon starts to become even stronger. So maybe 10-20 patches down the road, your unit without the signature icon might not even be able to compete with new units as well as their stronger signature icons. But all these are just speculations, but that's my opinion. If I was gonna be a low spender or a free to play, I want to pull for limited amounts of units, limited amounts of DPS units, and after pulling for said DPS units, I want them to perform the best they can and last the longest they can without getting power crept in honkaistarrail. So now with that being established, I also want to talk about this one thing when it comes to pulling Litecoins. Is there even such a thing as pulling for a universal Litecoin? Personally, no. There is no such thing as a universal Litecoin, especially for a DPS Litecoin. So I remember back in the days in version 1.0, everyone was saying, oh my god, we have to put for Silei's Litecoin because Silei's Litecoin is just so good with like every single Han unit back then, or we have to put for Jingyuan's Litecoin because Before Dawn was pretty much the best in store for every single erudition unit back then. One big reason why that is true is because a lot of the other units that actually made use of these Litecoins last time were mainly 4-star units, right? For the Hunt, for in the light, it was Dan Heng, Shu Shang, as well as what's the name, Yan Qing, right? So some of the examples. And then for Jingyuan's Before Dawn, recipients were basically Himiko, Herta, Qing Quan, and Servo, right? So I'm trying to say that these units back then, they literally had no other choice but to use the signature Litecoin, because the other alternatives were essentially the 4-star Litecoins or the Herta store cruising in the Stellar Sea. So there wasn't really a lot of room to compare. But now after like 4 to 5 patches down the road, look at all of our new limited 5-star units. I'm not talking about the 4 stars, I'm talking about the new 5-star units, right? Topaz can't even make use of Silei's Litecoin because she straight up does not benefit from the ultimate damage buff, and she wants the follow-up attack buff herself. Argenti performs even better with his own signature Litecoin than Before Dawn. Not to say that you can't use Before Dawn, but I'm just saying that Argenti performs better than his signature Litecoin. So saying that a Litecoin is universal, I really don't agree with this statement, because Think about it this way. Every single time MiHoYo were to release a limited 5-star DPS unit, would they really release a DPS unit where they would perform worse with their signature light cone compared to previous banners' signature light cones or 4-star light cones, right? So with that logic in mind, our 4-star pool is essentially almost always fixed. And newer units, newer light cones are eventually going to come out. So the term universal light coin, it really, in my opinion, it really just doesn't apply, because whenever a new DPS unit comes out, they will always perform better with their signature icon instead of, say, the older signature icons meant for previous units, right? The term universal icon, in my opinion, it more so reflects the 4-star icons, not the 5-star, the 4-star icons. So some universal 4-star icons I can think of at the top of my head right now is gonna be for Nihility class. S5 resolution is pretty much the best in slot for any debuffers, right? Pella, Silver Wolf, and in the future, whoever it may be, right? And then Guna and Sleepwell is also pretty much the best in slot for every single damage dealer in the Nihility class, right? So that's for Nihility. For Abundance, perfect timing is pretty much you can just run this on any healer you want, right? And almost everybody could use the effect rest. More outgoing healing is always going to be great. Preservation, day one of my life, every single preservation unit pretty much wants it. No questions asked if there's no other alternatives, right? And then for the DPS department, sword play is pretty much just really good on all hunt characters if you don't have a signature icon. Genius Repose, Seriousness of Breakfast, they all work really well with the different erudition units that we have. And then for the Destruction icon, the free icon you get from Herta Store 4 of the Aeon or the Secret Vow, they are all really generally good icons that can be universally used by pretty much every single unit. Not to say that they are their best in slot, I don't think they will. They are definitely not their best in slot, but they can be shared with a lot of different units. And if players want to pull a 5-star signature icon with the intention of sharing, the 4-star icon pretty much can do exactly the same thing. That's why I say I don't believe that players should pull on icon based on how universal they are, how many different units can make use of it. After deciding that you are going to be pulling for a signature icon, I think personally the way you should value how much a icon is worth is how good the unit is, not how universal the Litecoin is, not how insane the Litecoin's ability, how good the actual unit is that comes along with the Litecoin. Jingliu herself, the Litecoin is not that great on other units. It is not that great on pretty much any units actually on Destruction class, because Jingliu is the only person that can consistently trigger the defense strike capabilities, right? But because Jingliu herself is so strong as a DPS, the light cone that is tied to Jingliu then offers a lot more value to the player's account. Not because it is universal, because it is not, but simply because it takes Jingliu, who is herself a really strong unit, to now an extremely strong unit with the signature icon, right? So that is the logic behind, in my opinion, how do you decide which icon you want to put on, which is basically boils down to how strong this unit actually is. And once again, like I said, this is pretty much only for DPS units. And yeah, I think with that we have pretty much came to the end of today's discussion. Let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think? Should you pull for a Litecoin? Should a free-to-play pull for a Litecoin? Should a low spender pull for a Litecoin, right? So in summary, to just sum up everything, for those players who ain't gonna listen to all that, I believe that for a support and sustain unit, you do not need to pull for the signature icons because we have a lot of alternatives. But for DPS units, especially a strong DPS unit, I believe that players should pull for that signature icon, even for low spenders and free to plays, just because, exactly because they have so little pulls, they can't be affording to go ahead and pull every single new DPS that comes out. So instead, if they were to just pull on selected few DPS units and their signature icon, they can now make these units last a lot longer, stay strong a lot longer, and then they wouldn't struggle that much for content in the future because it's a DPS unit with a signature icon which performs a lot better, right? So that is my summary, my opinion with regards to this topic of whether should you pull for a signature icon. Let me know in the comments what do you guys think, or if you guys would like to engage in further discussions, head on over to my Discord at Pokke's Village, where we have a very active community talking about honkaistarrail on a daily basis. If you guys would like to check out my stream, that's going to be at twitch.tv/MrPokke. I stream 2 to 3 times a week and the schedule will be uploaded on Discord as well. And with that, we have come to the end of this episode of Pokke Chat. I think Pokke Chat is pretty nice. I think I'll go with Pokke Chat. Yeah, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. I genuinely cannot believe this shit. I genuinely cannot believe this shit. I genuinely cannot believe this shit, guys. Did I say I genuinely? Did I say how I genuinely cannot believe this shit? I genuinely cannot believe this shit, guys.